Good morning and welcome back to Hammond's Upholstery. It's not a bad day out here today. It's still warm, a bit overcast, but it should be fine. Tacker's on his bed, sat outside watching the world go past for now. Dragged him out of the van for a bit, his favourite place in the world. So let's have a quick look what's going on in the workshop this week. There's lots of bits and pieces. Let's spin you around and show you. Right, we have a pair of Urkel spindleback chairs. They're just being recovered. The customer doesn't want the cushions replacing because they find them comfortable, but we're recovering them. It's an unusual fabric we're recovering them with. It's here in this roll, you can't quite see it, perhaps you can, the leaf pattern on it, but it's actually a exterior fabric. The only thing that makes it exterior is theoretically it's water resistant. Doesn't mean that it can't be used for indoors or outdoors. The customer just likes the pattern on it, so why not? We have a pair of leather sofa cushions here. We're waiting for the hide to come in. We're recovering them. They're the only worn cushions on the customer's sofa, so it's not uncommon for us to be asked to do something like this. I have another one on the van with similar, where the seat just needs replacement frills in it. Probably explained that on previous videos regarding the seats. There's a lot of people that will just stuff a load of scrap foam in from the underside. That's not what we do here. There's part of the suite with two chairs go with the sofa and that stool. Believe it or not, those were the cushions in the sofa and two chairs, and that's the stool cover. So that's to be recovered. Relatively straightforward job. We have one chair ripped up, ready, the other one there. We've got a couple of sets of drop-in seats, waiting on fabrics for them. The customer wasn't able to get the seat out of this one themselves because of the heads on the screws have broken away on this particular one. So we'll remove that seat for them. That's going to be in a nice black and white fabric from Clark & Clark. Something a little bit different. Would be interesting to show you them when they're done. 4 drop-in seats, generic, just going to be done in brown vinyl there. This is what I was hoping to get on with today, this set of 6 dining chairs. Relatively straightforward. In the end of the day, they're just a wrap over seat. The only complicated part is the backs themselves. So these are upholstered and then have a single piping along that edge there, so they should look fine. So like I say, I want to try and get them done, but the customer's unexpectedly going to be up this way for this cushion, so I'm going to try and get this done now for you. Look at that fabric, it's fantastic. It comes out of an egg-shaped chair. I'll try and find a picture of it. I haven't got a picture of the customer's chair. I'll try and find a picture of an egg chair that's the same. We're just replacing the foam cushion. As you can see here, the front edge on this original cushion has deteriorated. It's a shame, it's probably lasted forever. So we're going to try and reproduce this with a solid cushion here. I have one here, so this is 4 inches. I'm going to cut roughly to shape, and then we're going to be sculpting it to get it to a similar profile, if not the same as this one. So that's going to be a very messy job. Believe it or not, it is 4 inches thick here from the centre height. So we've got to sculpt it all the way down to get it to what it originally was. I'll try and get a picture, like I say. If I can find one, I'll add a picture in to this video, and you'll be able to see what it is we're trying to recreate. So, cup of tea's waiting for me, quick slurp of that, and then I'll crack on with sculpting this seat. Right, as I'm sure you can tell, there's a lot of foam dust. So sculpted that down. I think it's pretty damn spot on, to be honest with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test fit it into the original cover, which is this here, and see how it fits, because originally it didn't have any Lux Bond or anything on it. It was just literally the foam. So we'll try that, see how it fits. If it looks a bit lumpy and bumpy or doesn't fit right, then I will cover this with a Lux Bond, take it out and do it with Lux Bond. So let's just try giving that a feel. This is silicone spray. You'll have seen me use this filling cushions. Generic one, you can pick it up most places. It just aids the foam going into the cover, because it can be quite grippy. So just give that a spray. The zip on this needs a bit of a spray as well. It's been on there a long time. So Who knows, it might work first time. This foam is denser or firmer than the original foam will have been. So I've got to be careful not to put the zip under too much strain. We don't want the zip or the cover to split at this point. This is a stretch fabric. So there you have it. Okay. The fact that it's a stretch fabric helps and doesn't help. It helps in the fact that it's filled really nicely. What it doesn't help is that I don't know whether this fits the job because I don't have the chair here itself. I only have the cushion. I have seen the chair. Originally, the story goes the customer came in and wanted the chair recovering. But if I'm honest, as I said to him, I said, the chair looks lovely as it is. It's all original cover. It's not worn through. It had a couple of stains on it, but nothing that couldn't be cleaned off. And I told him, leave the chair alone. Leave it in its original fabric. It looked lovely. And it's a statement piece in the room. You know, why put it in a generic grey or velvet that you see so many chairs in now that are just going to look like just chairs? They're just in the corner. People just throw clothes on them. Whereas this piece of furniture, because of the condition of it, people walk in the room and go, oh wow, that's so cool. Ultimately, I said to him, I'll recover it if you like. It's going to be difficult because we need to get a stretch fabric like this to do the chair in, but we can do it ultimately. But I think I convinced them that the chair was better as it was. The reason why they bought it is because they walked into the auction house and went, wow, that looks lovely. So why recover it? So that's filled really well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put Lux Bond on it. I don't think it needs it. I can't feel any real lumps and bumps that I'm concerned about. It's nice and smooth to touch, the same as any body finisher would tell you, car finisher. Rub your hand over it. If you can feel the lumps, then that's what you need to do. But I took a bit of time with it and that's come out really nice. So there you have it. There's the old cushion. As you can see, falling to bits. And there it is with a nice new cushion in it. Relatively quick, straightforward job. But like anything else, when you've been doing it a while, anything's a relatively quick and straightforward job. So I'm going to call that one done. So I'm now going to make a start on these dining chairs behind me. First off, I need to cut the covers and get the seats covered, and then we'll look at the backs. So you can join me back when I'm finishing off one of the last seats. You don't need to see me do all 6 of them. I'll just show you doing one of them. Okay, so there you go. I will try and find a picture of the egg chair. Well, I'll even ask the customer as they're coming in tomorrow if I can have a picture of the egg chair. So I can post it on here so you can see what the item looks like. If I can't, I'll post a picture on of something very similar to it. Okay, back soon. Right, so the last one of these seats. Now, unfortunately, the last seat was damaged. It was snapped, so I've had to render a repair to it. I spoke to the customer and they didn't want the seat board replacing itself. So we've glued and screwed a piece of 18mm ply to the back of the seat. Fortunately, it doesn't get in the way of the seat at all, so it's complete overkill, but it'll do the job, more than do the job. But there you go. So that's the repair, just straightforward 18mm. It's snapped here on the back because this is relatively thin plywood, if I'm honest with you. You know, 15mm with a hole cut out of it. It's a, yeah, waiting to happen. But there you go. So we've done this repair, and I can upholster the seat and it still fits in the job nicely. And when the black bottom goes on the chair, you won't see this repair at all. So we're not putting Lux Bond over these because the gap, the fitment of these seats is very, very tight. So even the thickness of the fabric could make it too tight. I have checked one and they're not, they do fit nicely, but putting a Lux Bond over it would possibly make them too difficult to get it in, so we're going to avoid that. So I'm going to start with the corners. The fabric's on there with the front of the seat. I'm going to start with the corners. The pile on the fabric, I've checked that, and hence the reason why that's marked at the front. Fortunately, this being a plain fabric, they're very straightforward to cover. So I'm going to start with the corner, pushing down on the seat, pulling the corner of the fabric up and over, and the staple in the corner. Opposite side, same process again. So I'm putting the tension in the 4 directions of the fabric. So last one there. There you have it. Okay, so all 4 corners. See this line here is the same on this side, so you get this. So we're going to get a tiny little pleat here, even all the way round. Okay, so that shows we've not pulled it out of skew width, so to speak, which is very important when you're doing striped or patterned fabrics. So doing it on a plain fabric is just good practice. You start with the back, so I'm going to pull it over, put a tiny little pleat, and I'm pulling in that direction. Same with the opposite corner, tiny pleat in it, pulling in that direction. So the idea is that we're pulling the fabric like that. So this is basically come out clean here, this edge, so we can just infill that. Cut the excess off because we don't want it to get too bulky on the corners. Front edge again, tiny little pleat, and pulling it to the corner. Then the opposite side. Using my hand to put pressure on the fabric, pushing it down, because you do need the tension in it. So that's third side. Fourth. Then pulling in that direction. Down and out. Takes longer to rip the seat up than it does to cover it in this case. Right, so there you can see it. You see tiny little pleat on each corner there. Same on there, all four corners. Keep it uniform. You know the fabric is on this square. Okay, just all pulled off. Okay, so this fits nicely in the seat. I'll just drop it in and bring it over so you can see that for yourself. A little tight, bit of effort involved to get it in, but they fit in. As you can see, there is absolutely no gap all the way around here. So if I'd put a Lux Bond on there, I may not have been able to get the seats in. You can see it's tight. So I didn't want to put a Lux Bond on it. And that's another reason why the manufacturer hadn't taken the foam over the edges, because there is very little tolerance. So that's the seats done. There's no bottom cloth on the seat because the bottom cloth goes on the actual chair in this case. So now we've got the backs on the chair. Hopefully you can see this. So the back just sits in this recess and wraps over, and then a piece of single piping will be glued on. I think how they did these chairs originally was that they stitched the single piping to the back and then pulled it over and then stapled through the face side of the fabric. Looking at this, unfortunately I didn't rip these chairs up, my colleague did, and he's not here to tell me exactly how they did it. So I'm going to use my initiative. I'm going to see about doing it how I think they've done it, which was the piping was sewn to the fabric and then stapled from the face side. We should be able to do it with this fabric because it's a fairly thick velvet chenille, so it'll hide the staples well. So I'll crack on. I'll do possibly the first one or try a bit of fabric as a prototype to check that that is the case, that it's going to work before I cut and sew all of them. So I'm just going to make a prototype one up and you can join me to see how that looks and how it's going to work. Right, so there we have just a sample of the fabric sewn up with the piece of piping stitched to it. You can see there the piping cord hanging out the edge. So I believe this was just placed on the job and then stapled along this stitch line here. So I'll just put the camera in the stand, so I'm going to need two hands for this, and hopefully we'll just put a few staples in it, see how that comes out, and hopefully that's going to work. Right, let's see if you can see what's going on with this. So the fabric, or the welt, is folded back on itself, tucked in here, and then stapled, I think, along this line. So let's just put a couple, one in each end, and hopefully we can see if it works then. We've got to get it cut right because this is quite precise. So there you go. Just run my leg along there. So we've only got 3 staples holding that in there. I think that works well. You can see it more specifically, this point here. We can't see the staples. I've used black staples, and that gives us a nice clean finish along there. So that's the way we're going to do it. But I've got to get the measurement spot on from side to side. Hopefully this back is square and doesn't taper anywhere, because it goes right the way over the outside back. So the same, I will cut one, get the one on, that will confirm all my measurements, and then the other 5 should be straightforward to do. So this is the last of these dining chairs. The other 5 are done behind us. We'll show you the set when they're done, other than having the black bottoms to put on them. But we'll just run through you with the inside back like we showed you. We did the sample, so we now know how we're going to attach the back and outside back. The seat just drops in. I'll do my very best to show you in detail how the back goes on, but there you go. I'll do my best to show you. Right. So there's that. Top of the fabric. Mark the top edge here. You can see the chalk mark. So this is the top of the fabric. We can start with the bottom of the inside back. We're not adding any Lux Bond to this, the same as we didn't add any Lux Bond to the seat because of the tolerances involved with this particular chair. So I've laid the inside back on, which is also the outside back, on level with this rail here. I hope you can see this rail here. So the fabric is level with the bottom of that. So that's our starting point, and then the cover wraps over the inside back and the outside back. The piping, I'm folding back on itself. I've got the sample to show you. I'm going to fold the piping back on itself, so like so. And then we're going to staple along this seam here, against the inside edge of the back rail. So this is a rebate here. So we're going to staple it along the inside edge here up against the back rail to exaggerate it like so. Down here with some black staples. You won't see it. That's how it was done originally with the leather, so sure it'll be fine. So let's show you. We've done the other 5 and they've all come out nicely. So I'm folding that back, taking my gun and stapling down and towards the rail. So I'm going in that direction. A couple of staples in that side, a couple of staples in this side. Okay, I will show you what I mean. So hopefully I can show you one-handed. So I'm basically taking the gun and stapling down in to the welt, down, pushing down into the recess and stapling it in there on both sides. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of staples in the bottom, a couple of staples in the top edge each side, and then just run my gun along here, stapling it in to here. You can just see the holes where the old staples were. Okay, so we've got this edge here and it creates this finish here. Okay, bottom I just need to staple this down because the seat butts up against here, so this bottom edge is not seen. Okay, I hope that helped explain it a bit better. So I'll just put a couple of staples in the top edge here. Same with this side. I'll try not to turn my back to you. I would normally go around the other side and do this. Okay, so there. Okay. I have a feeling my compressor's going to go off any second now. So hopefully you'll still be able to hear me when it does. So again, I would normally go around the other side and do it that way, but I don't want to turn my back on you. So we'll do it this way. So a lot of the time with the upholstery we do here, it's working how the original manufacturers produce their furniture and recreating that for the customers. There you go. So now I've got to staple the bottom edge off, trim the piping off. Try and cut the bulk out of this here. We don't want it bulky because it may restrict the seat going back into the job properly. So like I was saying, we're trying to recreate how this furniture was done originally. Sometimes we have to modify it because we just don't have the tools or the equipment to be able to do it how the manufacturers did it. They will have some specific tools and materials for furniture that we wouldn't be privy to, so we adapt. So these are nice hardwood chair. I can't tell you exactly what wood it is, but I think it's African sapele or something like that. Not entirely sure. African rosewood. But they're nice finish on the chairs. They've got a matte lacquer on them. Not high gloss. We have to be very careful when we're stripping the furniture to not damage the wood finish. So sometimes it takes longer to strip the furniture than it actually does to reupholster it. And that's where the cost comes in because we are duplicating the work twice. The manufacturers haven't got to strip it to upholster it. They've got the bare frame and the foam on it, a lot of cases, so it's a lot quicker to produce it new than reupholster it. So the outside back is the same process as the inside back. Running the nose of the gun down that stitch line drawn for the piping. I told you the compressor was about to go off. I could tell, and I'm out for staples anyway. So that side. I'm making sure that the welt is laying the right way to allow me to do this without creating lumps and bumps. trying to keep the staples even distance apart, because we don't want to be creating what we would have called back in the day tack ties, which is a term that comes from using tacks, little steel, blue steel tacks for the upholstery, not staple guns. And if you could almost see where every single tack would have gone in, and they called them tack ties, so you had to adjust it accordingly. Not so much of an issue now with staples, because we can use a lot more staples to get a more even finish. So just run my regulator down there. To make that nice and clean. And we've got the top edge to do. So cut off some of this salvage. I will try moving my camera to give you a better look at what we're doing on this top edge. Right, let's cut this. So I'm going to break the stitching, joining the piping to the cover, just past this join here. Cut off a little bit of the excess piping, open the piping up to be able to cut the piping cord out. We're going to fold this back on itself to give us a nice sealed end to the piping. Fold the cover back on itself. Tuck it around the leg. And staple in there. Second one. And there's that piping finished off nicely to that edge. There you go. So just do the same with the opposite side. Right. So again, cut down stitching. We don't want to be cutting stitching unless we have to. And needs must in this case. Be able to get the finish. Because we're going to put a couple of stitches along that, staples along that stitch line. I'm not concerned about this stitching coming apart, because the staples will prevent that from happening now. So there you have it. That's the bottom of the back done. So we just need to drop the seat in and then put the bottoms on them all. So that's the inside back done. The seats we've already done, so we just need to drop the seat in. The seats had no fixings in them, no screw fixings or anything like that originally, so they just stay a tight fit, preventing them from falling out, which is fine. They're not going to fall out, but they could theoretically come out. So what I'm going to do is just on the underside of the seat, I'm going to put a bit of webbing, sort of poly webbing on this seat rail, both sides, and then stapled to the seat under a little bit of tension. So that seat is not going to lift up unless you want it to. And to do that, you've got to remove the bottom cloth. So there you have it. That's not going anywhere now. There you go. You can see the pile on the chairs, brush down and brush up. So brush down and towards the front. There you go. So that's the 6 dining chairs done. I just need to put the bottom cloths on them and they're ready to go back to the customer. Certainly a lot smarter than the generic brown leather that we see on so many high back chairs. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. As always, they're not really meant to be instructional, they're entertainment and just show you what's going on in the workshop. We'll keep putting the content out there. Please give us a like and share. It means a great deal to us. If you have any comments, I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so thanks again for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.